Welcome back to the Good as Gold Stock Exchange. Today we're looking at the usage stats from the most recent tournament, San Antonio. We will continue to consider the top gainers and losers, but some data will be a comparison from Birmingham to San Antonio, while some will be Worlds to San Antonio. I think this provides some value as there were a few medium-sized changes last recap that didn't get mentioned, as a few huge changes took the spotlight. This also allows us to look at trends and see things that perhaps were slowly creeping up or down over a number of tournaments, but weren't substantial enough to mention at just one specific regional. Lastly, this also gives us some insights into the differences and similarities between EU and NA metagames. Our top gainers are Fluttermane, Raging Bolt, and Incineroar for non-restricted Pokemon, and for restricted we have Groudon, Koraidon, Terapagos, and Kyogre. Fluttermane stocks continue to rise another 3%, and it remains to be the dominant speed control Pokemon in the format, for all the same reasons as previously mentioned, without any new significant tech. It's rised a total increase of 9% since Worlds. Raging Bolt stocks are up 3% from Birmingham, but still down 5% from Worlds. This small uptick is good to see, and is what we expected. A very astute commenter mentioned that a likely contributing factor to Raging Bolt's prior decrease was the decrease in Urshifu Rapid, since it's one of Raging Bolt's best matchups. Urshifu Rapid remains at the same usage from Birmingham, while in Day 2, Urshifu Rapid shot far up, solidifying its place as the most common Pokemon in the format. In Day 2, Raging Bolt also had a significant increase, perhaps correlated with this Urshifu Rapid. Incineroar being up 2% for Birmingham and 6% from Worlds is a brief mention as it's a VGC staple. Some interesting tech choices, however, we've seen are the rise in Helping Hand and Will-O-Wisp. These supportive tools can find more value than Flare Blitz would in restricted formats, as being able to enhance your restricted or weaken theirs is incredibly effective. We've also seen the increase of Terra Water Incineroar over Ghost or Grass. As other fake-out users like Rillaboom drop, Ghost provides less value, while Water makes poor matchups into both Kyogre and Urshifu much more consistent. Koraidon, Terapagos, and Groudon are all up 2% from Birmingham. As mentioned, increases on restricted Pokemon hold much more weight on a metagame. While 2% still isn't incredibly notable, a 2% increase from 3 different restricteds is. I believe the reason for this is simply players taking another look at these underexplored options. Kyogre, on the other hand, is up 4% from Worlds, another significant increase. For the same reasons as the other 3, players are more exploring this option. The rise of all of these also likely contributed to the uptick of Raging Bolt. It appreciates Sun from Koraidon and Groudon, and it has a good matchup into Kyogre, and it's also found a home on many Terapagos teams. So where is this space for a total of 7% increased restricted usage coming from? Our top losers are Calyrex Shadow, Rillaboom, and Iron Hands. Calyrex Shadow is down another 6% from Birmingham, accumulating to a total of negative 12% from Worlds. The continuous rise of Incineroar is one of Calyrex's biggest counters. Booster Energy Fluttermane also continues to rise, which outspeeds Calyrex Shadow, reducing the effectiveness of its biggest strength of being the fastest Pokemon. These other restricteds in Groudon, Kyogre, and Terapagos are all able to tank a hit and fire back with a strong spread move to one-shot Calyrex Shadow if it's not carrying the Focus Sash. Both Rillaboom and Iron Hands are down 7% from Worlds. These fake-out users seem to be having some tough competition. I believe the most influential reasons are the increase of Incineroar, which simply provides more supportive value than either of these two, along with the overall decrease of both Calyrexes, which these two had relatively good matchups into. With Fake Out to slow down their speed control, be it Tailwind or Trick Room, Priority Grassy Glide to move first either way, and strong defenses on Iron Hands to survive either strong attacks and hit back hard after, has also contributed to their decrease. In summary, top usage restricted Pokemon goes to Miraidon. Not to any increase of its own, but thanks to Calyrex Shadow's drop down to 4th, leaving Calyrex Ice and Zamazenta in 2nd and 3rd. The gap closes between the top 4 and the bottom 4, as Kyogre is just 2% below Calyrex Shadow in 5th place. Looking at the Day 2 conversion rates, however, we see Calyrex Ice shot way up to 1st place, while Kyogre actually took 2nd. We generally try not to put too much influence into Day 2 statistics, as it's a much smaller sample size and less representative of the meta as a whole, but more so what performed well at that specific tournament. Urshifu maintains 1st among the non-restricted Pokemon, while Fluttermane and Incineroar continue to rise. Raging Bolt sees a small uptick as well, while Rillaboom and Iron Hands continue to drop. I believe Raging Bolt is still undervalued, and will likely continue to rise going forward, with a solid team slot on many new upcoming archetypes. I believe Kyogre is overvalued. Despite its significant rise in Day 2, the unreliability of its moves in Water Spout and Origin Pulse just simply aren't enough to keep it in a high position from a large sample size. This week's prime pick goes to Ogerpon. specifically Hearthflame, but I think Wellspring is also underrated. With the increasing diversity of restricted Pokemon, including increases in Kyogre and Groudon, while Calyrex Ice and Zamazenta remain common, Ogerpon Hearthflame has a solid offensive matchup into all of these. Wellspring has an amazing matchup into both Kyogre and Groudon, hitting them with super effective grass attacks, while resisting both water and ground attacks. Urshifu Rapid remains the most common Pokemon, and a Follow Me plus Water Absorb can really shut down choiced variants. If Kyogre and Groudon continue to rise, Wellspring will be a great pick. Thanks for tuning in to today's Good as Gold Stock Exchange.